All the bugs of the human body. Hiccups. Hiccups are sudden, involuntary contractions of the diaphragm, accompanied by the instantaneous closing of the vocal cords. That's what creates the characteristic hic sound. Hiccups are believed to be an ancient reflex, a legacy from amphibians. Frogs have a similar mechanism that helps push water through their gills when breathing. So, we're literally frogging from old memory. In humans, hiccups can be triggered by various reasons: eating or drinking too quickly, especially carbonated drinks; temperature changes, for example, a hot meal followed by a cold drink; or a sudden change in body position. Why are hiccups so hard to stop? The diaphragm seems to go into a panic and can't stop. Folk remedies, holding your breath, drinking water upside down, or a sudden scare, work because they shock the nervous system and interrupt the looped reflex. Most episodes of hiccups pass on their own in a few minutes, but there have been cases of chronic hiccups in history. For example, Charles Osborne from the USA hiccuped for decades, an estimated 430 million times. Formication. You're sitting peacefully, and suddenly, whoa, it feels like something is crawling on your arm or leg. But when you look, there's nothing there. This can feel like a tickle, a slight burning, tingling, or as if microscopic insects are running all over you. This is a sensory illusion. Neurons get excited without an actual stimulus, and the brain interprets it as a touch. Simply put, your nerves are acting up, and you feel an invisible cockroach. When does this happen? Overwork, stress, lack of sleep, dehydration, side effects of certain medications. People with severe mental disorders, like delirium or psychosis, can experience delusional parasitosis, a persistent belief that insects are living under their skin. The sensation becomes so strong that the person may scratch their skin until it bleeds. Eye floaters. You're looking at the sky or a white wall, and you notice translucent spots, squiggly lines, or specks that move around, but dart away if you try to focus on them. These are not hallucinations, are clumps or microscopic particles in the vitreous humor of your eye. When light passes through the eye, they cast a shadow on the retina, and you see that shadow as a floating spot. They move because the vitreous humor lags behind your eye's movement. Who sees floaters most often? People over 40, those with nearsightedness, and those who frequently stare at bright surfaces. Over time, the brain filters out the floaters, and they become unnoticeable. Sneezing fits. You're standing in a clean room, no flowers, no dust, but suddenly you sneeze several times in a row. Sneezing is a reflex to clear the nose of irritants. Sometimes it triggers without a clear reason. Non-obvious causes include a sudden change in temperature, e.g., going outside into the cold from a warm room; bright light, especially for those with a photic sneeze reflex, which affects about 25% of people; strong emotions, stress, laughter; pungent smells, perfume, vinegar. The photic sneeze reflex occurs because the optic and trigeminal nerves run close to each other. Bright light activates the optic nerve, and the brain mistakes this signal, triggering the sneeze reflex. Aristotle himself described this phenomenon. Shivering. You step out into the cold or a shower, and your body starts to shake involuntarily. This is shivering, the body's way of warming up. When your body temperature drops, the brain activates the heater. Muscles begin to contract and relax rapidly, generating heat. Shivering isn't just from the cold. It can also be caused by stress, post-workout fatigue, fever. In animals, shivering is a survival mechanism, for example, in newborn lambs. When you're cold, your teeth start to chatter. This is part of the overall shivering response. The muscles in your jaw also contract to create heat. It's an involuntary process. Brain freeze. You quickly eat some ice cream and suddenly feel a sharp pain in your head. This is sphenopalatine ganglion neuralgia. The cold irritates the nerves in the roof of your mouth, and the signal travels to the trigeminal nerve. Your brain thinks the pain is in your head. It usually lasts a few seconds, but the sensation can be quite sharp. Piloerection, goosebumps. You get cold, scared, or hear a powerful song, and your skin gets covered in tiny bumps. These are goosebumps. It happens because of the contraction of tiny muscles at the base of your hair follicles, a reflex inherited from our hairy ancestors. In animals, raised hair traps a layer of warm air and makes them look visually larger. We have only the reaction left. Motion sickness. You're reading in a bus and suddenly feel nauseous. The reason is a sensory conflict. Your eyes say you're not moving. Your vestibular system says you are moving. The brain receives conflicting signals and activates a defense reflex: nausea, dizziness. Motion sickness is more common in children when hungry, after overeating, or when focusing on a screen. Ear clicks and blocked ears. When you're in an elevator or on a plane, your ears feel blocked. Then there's a pop, and everything goes back to normal. There's a small tube in your ears, the eustachian tube, which connects the middle ear to the back of the nose. It balances the pressure. When the pressure changes abruptly, the tube is closed, and you get that blocked feeling. The pop is a sign that the pressure has equalized again. Chewing gum, yawning, and swallowing help. Paresthesia, pins and needles. You wake up and your arm feels like it's dead, or after sitting for a long time, your leg tingles. This is paresthesia, a tingling, itching, or numb sensation without an external stimulus. The cause is compressed nerves or a temporary lack of blood flow. It goes away after a few minutes. If it happens frequently and doesn't go away, accompanied by weakness or pain, you should see a doctor. Eye twitching. You're working and suddenly your eyelid starts to twitch. You look in the mirror and you can't see it, but you can feel it. This is myokymia, involuntary contractions of the eyelid muscle. Common causes: stress, eye strain from a monitor or phone, lack of sleep, too much caffeine. It usually goes away on its own. It can return during periods of tension. For performers and public speakers, it can happen before they go on stage as an indicator of brain activity.